In his mid-20s, Jim Rohn was broke, unhappy, and living a life defined by blame until he made a single, painful realization. His own philosophy was the problem. I mean, think about it. He was stuck in a dead-end job, completely drowning in debt, and just going in circles, feeling totally frustrated. He had this whole list of everything wrong with his life, and an even longer list of who to blame for it. But you know who wasn't on that list? Himself. That is, until the day the pain of staying where he was finally got worse than the comfort of making excuses.
And boom, that was the thought that changed everything. It was this incredibly painful but also kind of liberating moment of just total self-accountability. He finally got it. The economy? Not the real problem. His boss? Nope. The government? Definitely not. The real source of his failure was his own thinking. And that one little shift in perspective, it took him from being a passive victim of his life to the person actually in charge of it. And that right there was the spark for one of the most powerful blueprints for personal achievement ever created.
This right here, this visualizes that exact internal battle he was going through. On one side, you've got the easy way out, right? The path of blame. It's always someone else's fault. But on the other side, you've got the much harder path, but it's also infinitely more powerful, the path of responsibility. See, Rohn realized he was wasting all his energy on the left side of this thing, trying to change stuff he had zero control over. But the second he flipped his focus to the right side, to his own philosophy, his own habits, his mindset, that's when he finally took back control of his future.
Okay, so how did he actually do it? How did he build this totally new life from scratch? Well, that's exactly what we're about to break down, his complete blueprint for designing a life on purpose. We're going to look at the failure that shaped his philosophy, the mentor who handed in the keys, the timeless idea at the very heart of it all, the 5 super practical steps to make it happen, the one thing that holds it all together, and of course, the incredible legacy of intention that he left for all of us.
All right, so to really get the foundation of his philosophy, we've got to go back, way back to his early life on a farm in Idaho, because that's where this whole thing was born, out of a really frustrating paradox. See, he was raised with this incredible work ethic. He knew what it meant to put in the hours, to sweat, to really grind. But here he was, a young guy in his 20s, and that work ethic, it just wasn't adding up to success. He was working harder than ever, and yet he was still broke, still falling behind.
And this was the question that just haunted him. It was like an intellectual crisis for him. He'd look around and see people working just as hard as him, maybe even harder, and they were all stuck in the same exact trap. It forced him to face this really tough truth. Just putting in the effort isn't enough. Yeah, hard work is crucial, but it's not the whole formula. He knew there had to be a missing ingredient, some kind of secret that separated the people who were frustrated from the ones who were fulfilled. And that question, that's what set him on a mission to find the answer.
So this whole crisis led him to a seminar hosted by a super successful entrepreneur, a guy named J. Earl Schaff, and Rohn was just blown away. So much so that he went to work for Schaff, thinking, okay, this is it, I'm gonna learn all the secrets to getting rich. But Schaff, he didn't give him financial tips, no stock market advice. He gave him something way more valuable, a completely new philosophy. He took Rohn under his wing and mentored him on attitude, on setting goals, and on the basic principles of actually living an intentional life.
And this, right here, was the core lesson, the big aha moment that just completely changed Rohn's world. He learned that success, it's not magic, it's not luck, and it's definitely not just for a handful of chosen people. No, it's a science. It's a predictable result that literally anyone can get if they just learn and consistently use the right principles. Rohn finally understood he hadn't been failing because of bad luck. He'd been failing because he just didn't know the rules of the game. The missing piece of the puzzle wasn't more effort, it was a better strategy.
And this realization led Rohn straight to the core philosophy of his entire system, what he called the law of the harvest. I mean, growing up on a farm, this was a metaphor he understood deep in his bones. The law is so simple and it's totally unforgiving. You reap what you sow, period. You can't plant a weed and then just hope a flower pops up. You can't ignore the soil all year and then expect this amazing crop. Nature doesn't care about your optimism, it only responds to what you actually do.
So what Rohn did was brilliant. He took this farming law and applied it to life. Think about it. Your mind is the soil. Your thoughts, your ideas, your goals, those are the seeds you're planting. And your daily habits, your disciplines, that's the water and the sunlight. That's the consistent work you put in. This philosophy is like the complete opposite of the get-rich-quick, instant gratification culture we see everywhere. It's really about taking charge and designing your life on purpose, because you understand that the quality of your harvest tomorrow depends completely on what you're planting and tending to today.
Now, to really make the law of the harvest work for you, Rohn said you have to make a pretty big shift in how you think. You've got to move from what he called a wage mentality to a profit mentality. So what's the difference? Well, a wage mentality is simple. You trade time for money. Work an hour, get paid for an hour. It's all about that immediate security, and honestly, it leads to a pretty passive life. But a profit mentality, that's about creating long-term value. It's about planting those seeds we talked about, investing in yourself, building assets, learning new skills, things that will pay you back for years to come. It's the huge difference between working in your life versus working on your life. And you know what? In today's world, this is more relevant than ever. It's the mindset that drives every entrepreneur, every side hustler, every creator building a personal brand. It's about seeing yourself as more than just an employee. You're your own enterprise.
But here's the thing. A philosophy is just a nice idea if you don't have a plan, right? So Rohn took this powerful mindset and turned it into a practical, totally actionable system with his famous 5 steps. And this is where all those abstract ideas, like responsibility and designing your life, suddenly become a real, concrete process you can actually follow. This isn't just theory, folks. It's a step-by-step guide to becoming the architect of your own future. So here they are, these 5 steps, and yeah, the order is super important. They are the blueprint for taking intentional design from just an idea in your head to your actual lived reality. They seem deceptively simple, but don't let that fool you. Each one builds on the last, and together they create this powerful momentum that can absolutely change the direction of your life. So let's break down what each one really means. Okay, first up, get serious. This is the bedrock, the foundation of everything. It's that moment Rohn had where you just draw a line in the sand and decide, that's it, I'm done with mediocrity. It's about committing to taking 100% full responsibility for your health, your money, your happiness, all of it. Second, get smart. Once you're serious, you have to become a student. You got to accept that your current thinking got you your current results. So you read the books, you listen to the mentors, you study what successful people actually do. You have to replace that old faulty programming with brand new information. Third, get going. This one's all about beating inertia, because let's be real, knowledge isn't enough. You have to turn it into action. And not some huge scary action either. We're talking small, daily disciplines that build momentum over time. Fourth is get excited. This is so key. Logic makes you think, sure, but it's emotion that makes you act. You can't do great things with a meh attitude. You have to connect your goals to a really powerful why that fuels you with passion and drags you through the tough days. And finally, number 5, get away. You have to step back regularly. Take an hour, a day, a whole weekend, whatever it takes to just reflect, review where you are, and adjust your plan. You just can't see the big picture when you're stuck in the day-to-day grind.
But let's be honest. How do you keep this up? Day after day, week after week? We all know motivation fades. That initial excitement? It definitely wears off. And this is where, honestly, the most crucial part of Rohn's entire system comes into play. He taught that discipline is the bridge that connects your goals to your accomplishments. It's the engine that powers consistency. I mean, just think about what a bridge actually does. It closes a gap. So on one side, you have your goal, that amazing life you've designed. And on the other side is where you are right now. And in between, there's this huge chasm filled with difficulty, distraction, and doubt. Discipline is the structure you build, plank by plank, day by day, that lets you walk safely across that gap. And it's not about being some kind of robot. It's about building reliable systems and habits that just carry you forward, especially on those days when you really don't feel like it. And Rohn was super specific about how to build this bridge. He didn't just leave it to chance. He built it around 2 core habits that keep you going. First is a serious journaling and reflection habit. Now, this isn't just a diary to write about your feelings. He saw it as a tool for taking intellectual inventory. It's a way to capture your ideas, to review your day, and to really audit your own thinking. You write down not just what happened, but how you reacted, what judgments you made, and you're ruthlessly hunting for those little negative thoughts that are holding you back. The second habit is what he called the major goals and disciplines protocol. And this is the execution system. Okay, and this protocol is where the real magic happens. It completely closes that huge gap between having a big dream and actually doing something about it. I mean, look at this. A massive, totally intimidating goal like achieve financial freedom gets broken down into one simple, non-negotiable daily discipline: invest 15% of every paycheck. Or what about the huge goal of complete a marathon? That becomes the totally manageable task of run 3 miles every morning. You see how it works?
This system connects your big vision directly to a tiny, repeatable action. It makes your biggest, wildest goals feel achievable because you're only focusing your energy on one small thing you can definitely win at today.
And you know, at the end of the day, Rohn's own transformation was the ultimate proof that this whole philosophy worked. It wasn't just talk. By applying these exact principles, everything from taking responsibility all the way to building those tiny daily disciplines, he completely, and I mean completely, redesigned his own life.
I mean, this guy went from a struggling farm boy, literally earning pennies, to one of the most influential business philosophers of the entire 20th century. He directly impacted over 1 million people. Yeah, he became a multimillionaire and a speaker known all over the world. But you know what was more important? He became a mentor to so many leaders, including a young guy named Tony Robbins, who says Rohn completely changed the course of his life. Rohn's success just proved his core belief that the principles you live by are so much more important than any product you could ever sell. His own life, that became his greatest seminar.
And really, that's the heart of his legacy. He left behind a simple, no-hype blueprint for creating a prosperous life. This wasn't about flashy tricks or empty you-can-do-it motivation. It was a deep philosophy rooted in that timeless metaphor of the law of the harvest. And it gave millions of people the power to move from just wishful thinking to disciplined, strategic action. He taught us all that your life is your masterpiece, and you are the artist.
And it all boils down to this one last, incredibly powerful lesson. That small, daily effort of discipline, reading those 10 pages, making that one call, saving that little bit of money, it feels like a tiny weight, just ounces. But the weight of regret? Looking back years from now at a life you didn't choose, a life filled with potential you never acted on, man, that weight is crushing. It weighs tons. So the choice, as he saw it, is actually pretty simple. You either choose the pain of discipline, or you choose the pain of regret.
So what's the big takeaway here? Jim Rohn built his empire on that one profound truth. You reap what you sow. His 5 steps taught an entire generation that success isn't some big mystery. No, it's a predictable result of disciplined action. Because in the end, it all comes back to that one immutable rule. Discipline weighs ounces, but regret weighs tons. Subscribe for more stories that decode genius and give you the blueprint for intentional growth.